Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Lisa and you're watching Yogi Hollow Farm. And we are at the hydroponic grow table. And today we are harvesting bok choy, and I'm going to give you an update on the cherry tomato experiment. But in the meanwhile, let's look at that bok choy first. It is doing amazing. One of the things that I noticed was we were starting to get little flowers on them. I admit, I was waiting to get the little shaped bulbs, for lack of a term, and I'll try to put a picture of the seed packet here. But I was waiting for little bok choy bulbs to grow. I didn't realize that it's ready to harvest and has been. So there's my learning curve, because I never grew bok choy before. So it was a lot different than what I get in the stores. So what I'm going to do now is let's get to harvesting. I've got my trusty salad bowl, and I've also got the bok choy here. Here's my bowl of harvested bok choy. It looks amazing. It tastes amazing. And I got all of this from these jars, which is really cool because it is March and it is cold outside in South Dakota. Yeah, we've got fresh greens, so this is really cool. Amazing. We're gonna have these for supper tonight. So there's all my jars. And the way that I looked to harvest it was to take the outside leaves, cut and leave a little bit on there. I did cut some completely off if they had seeded. I'm just gonna see if they grow back. This is still an experiment. If they don't grow back, no love lost. I know now that these grow great in the wintertime inside using the hydroponics. So that's the really cool part about all this. Let me put these leaves aside so I can wash them later, and let's sit down and talk about lessons learned. So I want to talk about lessons learned. The bok choy did amazing in the house in the Kratky hydroponic system. It did well with the growing system. It did really well with the fertilizer that I used. It also did really well with the full spectrum grow lights and the heat mat and the rock wool. So hydroponic is the way to go for the baby bok choy. It grew really quickly, which was awesome. And I think one of the other learning experiences where it didn't go so well was me. I'm not a gardener, I'm not an expert gardener. I'm just me, and I dabble in it in trying to grow indoors. But I did notice that I probably should have done some more research on the variety, because I only recently fell in love with bok choy and decided to start growing it. So growing a baby variety instead of the regular variety, which I also have seeds for, I learned that I need to know when to harvest them. I was expecting the bulbs, like I said, and it never happened, so the plant started to go to seeds. Again, not the end of the world, but I could have been eating this a while back and been that much further along on this experiment. Overall, we got a really great harvest. I know that it's good leafy greens to have in the wintertime. It did well in the wintertime. I did plant them in February, and here we are in March. It's about, I think it's about a month and just under a month and a half. We've got fresh greens. I did cut them to see if they would grow back. Some of them I didn't take the time on, because quite honestly, I want to use the jars for another experiment that I want to do. So that's okay. And we're coming into garden season outside where Ryan will be planting things. I've got things in the greenhouse. Plus, we need to start our seeds indoors, so we're going to need room for that. Overall, I think the experiment went amazing. So even with my mistake of not knowing when to harvest, and I could have harvested it sooner, and Blue's Self-Reliance was actually telling me how they get those bulbs as they tie them up in the greenhouse to make them look all nice and neat, which I didn't know. So thank you, Pam, at Blue's Self-Reliance. That was awesome. I think it really went well. And tonight I'm going to saute them in some soy sauce, and that'll be a really nice side dish for our meal. What I want to give you an update on now is the cherry tomatoes, because the cherry tomatoes are doing great, and I got something really cool to show you. I left the grow lights on to be able to show you. These are black 5-gallon pails. I found a local hydroponic supplier about an hour away, and I went and stocked up on more rock wool. So I've got a sheet of rock wool here, and I bought these 5-gallon pails. The 5-gallon pail and the lid, which has the net pot in it, already made for hydroponics, was cheaper than me buying a 5-gallon pail in the hardware store with a lid, which was what I was originally going to move these to. So I'm going to move the lights to show you, so you can get a better view, because it's harder for me to move the pail. So this is one lid, and it has a net pot built in, and I've got 2 cherry tomatoes in there. Let me show you the other one that I have. And here are my other cherry tomato plants. Yep, there's multiple plants in there. I'm going to see if I can leave them in there and tie them up. Over here, I have 2 remaining seedlings that I am leaving in cups for Ryan, because he will plant them outside. And then I still have more seedlings in the jars that I had. And that's how well they're doing. So my goal is to see how well these do in here versus in here. I do believe tomato plants will need this. I talked to the guy at the hydroponics store. And then here's our celery. The outside part is dying off, and you can see the new growth in there. So the celery is looking good. I think it's going to need a bigger pot. I think what I'm going to try to do is, now that I have net pots available and possibly a jar, I may try to grow the celery in one of the mason jars where the bok choy was. The problem was I was running out of containers. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, exciting stuff. Really exciting stuff to have all this stuff growing in the house. I think the experiment is going well. So, I mean, we already have a harvest, and I'm hoping that we also have a harvest on celery and cherry tomatoes, which would also be cool. Now, I do realize the cherry tomato experiment is happening now when it's warmer in the house. But we have, right after winter, we have hail season. What that means is our new seedlings go outside and they get pummeled with hail, and then they can't produce. So we're still trying this, and we're going to see how that goes. This year we will be putting plants in the greenhouse. Our tomatoes will be going in the greenhouse, so that way they actually get the heat and the humidity that they need. Well, I am going to go get that bok choy ready for supper. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, put them down below. Let me know what you're growing indoors. I think that would be great. So thanks for watching, you guys. Have a great day. Take care.